We all have heard it said today that the clothes make the man. And we have an idea of what that means. In the 18th century, I think it was even more important. Clothing really was a status symbol that everyone recognized. Whatever you were wearing, that was like your uniform. And it's, whether it was in good shape or bad shape, made a lot of difference. I love digging into the 18th century journals when it comes to a topic like this because they are so illuminating. We get to hear from people sort of firsthand what they think about themselves and their clothing. In this situation, this particular journal it's actually sort of a memoir. It's William Morley. He was growing up in the early 18th century. He was in England. His father wanted him to study as a lawyer. Then they sort of fell on hard times, and so he had to become an apprentice to his father as a clockmaker and a mender of clocks and watches. He studies for that for a while, and he does okay. But then his father dies, and he kind of falls on very hard times. He ends up bumming around London. He doesn't have any money, and when he wants to express in this memoir about how bad it was, what does he do? He talks about either money in his pocket, what he's eaten last, or think about what he thinks is most important, what other people can see, because other people can't see what you ate last. What are your clothes like? That's what he's very, very concerned with. And so here he is. He says, it's sort of like, this is how bad it was. I was dressed at the time in a very odd manner. I had on a red rug coat, that's a very heavy, coarse fabric, with a black lining, black buttons and black buttonholes. He goes down and explains all the way down to the trim. The trim is important. And black lace upon the pockets and facings. An old worn out tie wig which had not been combed for above a fortnight. I had on an unshaven beard and a torn shirt that had not been washed for above a month, bad shoes and stockings full of holes. So he's saying this is how bad it was. He earlier on explained he hadn't eaten for a while or whatever, and he didn't have any money at all. And this is what I had on. This is how people viewed me from the outside. That's what he was really, really concerned with. So at that point, he indentures himself. He's just totally destitute. He says, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be somebody's servant in the new world. I'm gonna get on a ship and all this good stuff. And what happens, the very first thing that the person wants to convince him to go, he feeds him right away. Almost right away on board ship, the people who have indentured him, they're taking care of him at that point. They're feeding him and they're clothing him. And right away, he talks about how, of course, they were going to have to do some of the work on board ship. They're going to need special clothing, and he gets a special clothing, and he, of course, describes that in depth because, and again, that's an important part of what he is. And because he's a sailor, his uniform changes, his clothing changes. He says, for there every adventurer had his apparel given to him for the voyage, which was a sea jacket, 2 coarse checked shirts, a woolen waistcoat, 2 coarse handkerchiefs, 1 pair of hose, a woolen cap, and a bad new shoes. So he's got to take this clothing that he's now accoutered in. He's got this new set of clothing for his voyage and his work as a would-be sailor until he gets to the New World. As soon as they get to the New World after their difficult trip, he visits a town and he doesn't have any money. So right away, clothing equals money in the 18th century in more ways than one. And so he immediately sells his old clothes. Remember, he talked about that red coat. So he says, we all of us had liberty of visiting the town where I sold my red coat for a quart of rum, my tie wig for 6 pence, with which I bought a 3-penny loaf and a quart of cider. So he sells his clothes right away. He sells his old raggedy clothes so that he would have something to eat, something nicer than what was available to him on board ship. When it comes to the New World, clothing is different. What's appropriate in different situations is definitely different than what it was in England in the early 18th century. He says, in summertime, people seldom wear wigs, but thin caps under their hats, and without coats. Now this is pretty crazy. Without coats, frequently going to church without them. So he was sort of scandalized by the idea that these people that are fairly well-to-do are going about town not completely clothed as he would have thought proper. His services were purchased by a clockmaker or a clock repairman, and at that point, again, he needs to change his clothing, and he talks about that right away. He says, I was stripped of my rags, what was left of the clothing that he was issued on board ship. I was stripped of my rags and received in lieu of them a torn shirt and an old coat. They tell me it was only for the present, for I might expect better. So even if it's a servant, he did not get a brand new clothes because they were very expensive. He got cast-off clothes. He got a torn shirt and an old coat. Again, he's telling us by this language and by what he's getting here that he wasn't in the best of states. They weren't being all that nice to him. He works for several years as this indentured servant. He does finally get out of his indenture, that he's sort of free to do whatever he wants to do, and he just kind of bums around the New World for several months or almost a year here. Here's a section. He says, 3 days after this adventure, I worked journey work with Peter Bishop, a blacksmith, for 8 shillings a week, and necessaries found me as lodging, meat, and drink. So he was paid the 8 shillings a week, and he was given lodging and meat and drink. I worked at the great hammer in making of horseshoes, horseshoe nails, and rounding of ship's bolts, sharpening coulters for the plow. This life I followed for 6 weeks, and out of my earnings I bought a fine shirt, the first I'd worn since my departure from England. He thinks this is very important. Many a hard day I have had at this employment, but necessity enabled me to surmount all the difficulties. So the first thing he does when he has real money at this point is, I buy a fine new shirt. That's what's important. Again, a few months later, he's in a different situation where he wants to tell us about what kind of situation he's in. And he says, I was dressed in the following trim. I had a shirt on above 14 or 15 weeks, a miserable pair of breeches adorned with many living companions, 2 worn waistcoats, no coat, a coarse, lousy woolen cap, and an old hat given me in Ireland, a pair of torn stockings, and a bad pair of shoes supported by pack thread, no handkerchief. So I looked not unlike the picture of Robinson Crusoe. Again, he wants to tell us about how bad off he is at this situation, and he tells us exactly what he's got on for clothing. Clothing is the way he can describe to us immediately how bad his circumstances are. So he tells us about how bad his condition is, not by how much money he has in his pocket, because he never has any money in his pocket per se, but what his clothes are like, because that's the way we show our wealth in the 18th century on the outside to other people. I love these 18th century journals because we can really get into the head of these folks in the 18th century and understand what they're thinking. And we can understand from these books how important the clothing was, and we get an idea about why clothing was so expensive, and why it's an important part of us. If we want to understand the 18th century, we actually have to sometimes we have to put on the clothes. We have to experience the clothing and how expensive it is, or how difficult it is, and how to make it look good. All those things that they were concerned with in the 18th century. And again, that helps us understand ourselves today. Maybe we are very, very concerned about our clothing because that's how people judge us from the outside, whether we're a rich person or a poor person, or what we do for a job, or how we project ourselves themselves into the world. So it's great to be able to compare and contrast what's happening then and what's happening now. And at times, we laugh at the clothing they're wearing and why they wear it. And then we realize, wait a minute, we do exactly that same thing today. Maybe in a little different way, we don't recognize it, but we do exactly the same thing. Thanks for coming along on this journey today as we were discovering about clothing in the 18th century. So much fun. Thank you for all your amazing support, and thanks for watching.